Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 44th year of the Marion S. Berry Summer Youth Employment Program. Y'all can clap for that. All right, so today we're going to do things a little different. In years past, we have had a traditional presser where we've usually invited a partner, maybe a young person, but we're going to switch it up today and we're going to do something different and we're going to go live on a podcast. So today, a few young people and the amazing and super accomplished Mr. Kayvon King, who is the owner of the Village Cafe, are going to participate in an interview with our very own mayor, Mayor Muriel Bowser, to talk about the importance of the Marion Berry Summer Youth Employment Program. Now, before we get started, a couple of things that I want to highlight. One, today at 12 noon, the Marion Berry Summer Youth Employment Program application opens up. That means for every single young person between the ages of 14 and 24, you need to go online to Summerjobs.dc.gov and complete your application. Don't call me, don't call the mayor after the application closed saying, please, I did not submit my application. You've got to go online at Summerjobs.dc.gov. So please do not forget that. The second thing, it was a few years ago, Mayor, when we met, and I remember you asking us, what are we going to do for the Summer Youth Employment Program? We were all virtual at the time, in a virtual posture, and when the rest of the country had closed down their Summer Youth Employment Program, the staff at DOES assured me that we would have a Summer Youth Employment Program. And we did that. And we've done that for the last couple of years. But this year, I'm pleased to announce that we are 100% back. Yeah. We are in person. We are back in person, ready for young people to come and work or visit their host site if they're doing their first experiential learning activity, but we are 100% back. So next, I want to just acknowledge a couple of people. I want to thank again Mr. Kayvon King of the Village Cafe for lending us this amazing space. For the people who are watching at home, if you haven't been here, you need to come here ASAP. Flood this building with customers. They have amazing pastries, an amazing mocha. I've been here several times, but please make sure you come and visit, and thank you so much for lending us your space. Next, I want to make sure that I introduce our former First Lady for a few remarks, Mrs. Cora Masters Berry.
Thank you, Director. And I just want to take this moment to congratulate you on a job well done. I love our kids when they show up. You know, when you have a movie, you see a movie sometime, and it starts present, and then it says 5 years earlier. Well, we're going to start with the movie and say that the first official act of Mayor Bowser when she was sworn in was to name the summer job program after Marion Berry. That was her first official act. And here we are. Now let's go 40 years back. Well, really, if you really want to go back, go 80 years back when Marion was your age. This is his story, not mine. And I'm a political scientist, and I am a historian. And I believe that if you don't know your past, you do not understand your future. And you don't know how to get there. And I'm really on that this year. With all of the move across the country to eliminate, minimize, and erase our history, it's become extremely important to me, as it always has been, for our young people to know what has happened to get them here. So if you remember, off point, Kathy Hughes and I went on a big thing about the Stevie Wonder song. Again, Stevie Wonder, Happy Birthday. How many of you know what that song's about? Raise your hand if you do. Well, if you do, it's because of me. If you don't, it's because of everybody else. So listen to the song. Now, let's go back. So Marion, brilliant all of his life, exceptional. wanted a job, couldn't get a job anywhere in Memphis, Tennessee, which is the city they just killed that boy in, but that's another conversation. And the only job he could get was a paper boy. And he made a vow to himself, if I ever in a position, I'm going to make sure young people can work. That was the basis of it, and he was about 13, 14 years old. And when he became mayor, he sat down with a group of people, I happen to be blessed to be one of them, to talk about how we can employ our young people. And I can just tell you history-wise, there was zillions of opinions about it. Or we can do 10, we can do 40, or we can do so many in this ward, that ward. He said, no, what we're going to do is give every child a job who wants a job. And as a result of that, this job, this program that you're in, this program that our mayor signed into action with the mayor's name on it, is the best program in the country, and it is modeled and copied all over the country. Give yourselves a hand. So if we're having any kind of issues with keeping this program alive, keeping it vital, tell people like me. We'll get in the paint for you. Thank you very much.
I like that. We'll get in the paint for you. I love that. I want to acknowledge just a couple of people. I believe we have Councilmember Nadeau. Thank you, Councilmember Nadeau, for showing up today. Thank you so much. I believe Deputy Mayor Kine. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Kine. And I think we have Reverend and Director Bowen. Thank you so much. And Julia Irving as well. Okay, all right, so let's get into it. One highlight from last year was our partnership with Deanwood Radio Broadcast. This is a partnership we've had with DPR. Shout out to Delano Hunter, who isn't here, but I know he's with us in spirit. But they have a super cool and special journalism program. Participants in this program honed in on their broadcast and journalism skills in radio and television. Each week, you never knew what radio personality or news anchor may drop in to teach a class. I'm told that they were treated to master classes in radio broadcasting by the one and only Donnie Simpson and by Allison Seymour. And I think we all can admit that that's a pretty cool testament to the great opportunities available to young people in the SYEP program. I now have the pleasure to introduce the future of radio and television broadcast journalism, Mr. Eric Curry III and Ms. Jessica Smith, who will now take part in a question and answer podcast interview. Let's give them a round of applause.
Oh, man. That was an amazing introduction. Thank you so much. And, good morning, all. I want to welcome everybody to the 2023 Marion Barry Summer Youth Employment Program Application Launch Table Talk. Again, I am Eric Curry III. This is my co-host, Jessica Smith. And we just, again, want to thank everybody for coming out. We would like to thank Mr. Kevon King for lending us this beautiful establishment, the Village Cafe. And we'll also love to thank our wonderful, beautiful mayor, Ms. Muriel Bowser, for coming and just having this conversation with us. I have also got some shout outs. Again, our director, Delano Hunter, thank you. Director of Team Programs, Lou Hall, thank you. And also our amazing instructor at Deanwood Radio Broadcast, Mr. Salih Williams. Thank you so much for everything you have done for us. And also Mr. Paxton Baker at the Congressional Award. Thank you again for everything you have done for Deanwood. And with that being said, we can just jump right into it. Mayor Bowser, the MBSYAP application is set to open today at noon for participants across the country. All 8 wards, across the city, all 8 wards. When is the last day that district youth can submit their application?
Well, I think we heard, and first of all, thank you, Eric, and thank you, Jessica and Kevon. Thank you for having us. It's always great to be in a wonderful business where people can come together and have books, have coffee, but most importantly, have community. So I'm delighted to be here. I'm also very proud of our team at the Department of Employment Services who brought us here, so let's give them a round of applause. And I am grateful to our First Lady, Cora Masters Berry, whose focus on kids and DC is incredible. And being able to hear the early days of the SYEP program is very important. So let me just get directly to your question, because you heard Director Morris Hughes is an outstanding director and who has had the opportunity to grow the SYEP program under her leadership. And it is a program that's universal. So if you're between the ages of 14 and 24, we have a slot for you in DC. And so it is important, however, that you do your part. And your part is going online and signing up. And the other thing that signing up does, not just make sure you get paid and that you have a slot, but it gets you thinking early about what you want to do for the summer.
Right.
It gives you the opportunity to see what is going to be available sooner, and so that we can get a great match for you. One thing that's important to me, and it was important to Marion Berry as well, was that these are meaningful experiences, that you're really learning, that you're getting something out of it as an SYEP participant, but also the employers that we recruit are going to have great things to say about our program. And so one thing that we've learned is thinking about it earlier, getting your mindset, and what you starting to think about what you want to get out of your summer is important. And so the earlier the better. So at noon today, you can sign up, and you have until March 11th. And you heard the director say, don't wait till March 12th to start calling around folks to say, hey, I missed the deadline. Because we want to give you every opportunity to sign up.
Right. And there are also important documents that participants must submit, such as proof of age, residency, parental consent, birth certificate, etc. Right? So when is the last day for applicants to submit that information? Is it March 11th as well?
I'm not exactly sure about that, but Director Morris Hughes will be able to answer those questions. But you raise a good point. Now is the time to start collecting all of that information.
Right.
If you're one of our students, you've already done it at some point, and so we just alert your parents. Let's get those documents together. We try to make it as seamless as possible to upload that information.
Yes.
So, Mayor Bowser, I would love to congratulate you on your historic win
Thank
as
you.
the first black female mayor of a major city for your third term. And so far, how does this term feel different than the others, Spencer?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I've been thinking about that. And in some ways, it feels like this first month of my third term, in a lot of ways, feels like the first month of my first term.
Oh, wow.
So I feel incredibly energized. People around the district are rolling up their sleeves to get to work, and they're also excited to work in collaboration on the big issues. In other ways, the city's very different. Post-pandemic, we have a different set of tasks to do. We have to focus on our downtown. We have to really focus on our kids, who we know. I think we're going to look back on this time and see that COVID separating kids from school has had a tremendous impact on kids' social and emotional well-being, and school. So really our job is different, and all of us in my administration, and I dare say I speak for the council in saying this as well, our focus on making sure that kids have what they need and get caught up is going to be the focus of my 4 years.
So, a lot of times, people do not see the humanity in our government leaders. And with that being said, scoring a third term and overseeing all offices and services in D.C. must take a lot of hard work and perseverance. As mayor, how do you maintain a work-life balance as a parent and other aspects of your personal life? And how can SYEP youth do the same?
Well, that's a great question, and I know particularly young people, I think, do a better job of focusing on their own family and happiness and work-life balance than when I was your age. We had a different way of of thinking. It was all charge, all work, all the time. And in some ways, that's hard to break out of. So I have a very important job, and I'm lucky because I have a job that I love. I wake up every day excited to do it. I give it my all. I have been able to attract a wonderful team around me. But I am also focused on my family. I have a beautiful 4.5-year-old. I have senior parents that I always try to support as well. So it's not easy to strike a balance, but because I've been doing it for a while, I know how to manage my time. But even then, I have to remind myself to rest, to exercise, to drink water,
That's a good one.
to read. I'm not just saying that because we're also in a bookstore, but to keep up with events, but also to take care of my own kind of mental health. And I think one of the best ways we do that, and sometimes we forget, is to have a good set of friends around you who love you no matter what, and spend time with them, nurturing those friendships.
And Mr. King, I would like to connect to what the mayor said about, the SYE program has, formulated and made you the person you are. And on the topic of humanity and perseverance, which is a big practice in being in the workplace, a big practice while being in the workplace is your ability to negotiate and advocate for yourself. As a business owner and a site host, what are your ideas on settling or settling for less?
Perfect. Very well. Just first, thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Mayor Bowser, for being here, and thank you everybody for coming out. I am proud to say, myself and my other two founders are SYP alumni, and so we definitely, hold strong ties, and really appreciated that program coming up. I think for us, settling for less really is not an option. I think one of the biggest things you'll get as a business owner is a lot of no's, right? But you never look at a no as a no. You look at it as another doorway, and you never, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? That's the old saying, right? So one of the biggest things we preach here is building a self-sufficient ecosystem to impact humanities positively, and so we're going for all of the things we can do to be sustainable, to impact business owners, to impact community members, to impact entrepreneurs in our space by opening it up and being able to bring them to share the community with us.
Well, Mr. King, on top of that, I see that you are from east of the river. You're from the southeast corridor, from around the way. I know it.
Yes, indeed.
And I read that part of your business model was to solve an affordable and healthy food crisis in the city, right, for residents. Because I know in southeast I think it's still only one grocery store over on that side of town. So, what made you guys fulfill that need here at Union Market?
Yeah, for sure. So, coming up with the business idea was really started with that idea of, impacting food access issues, sustainability challenges, and then also community innovation challenges. And so, it really just kind of came from growing up and, knowing what it's like to have to travel so far, to go to a grocery store and potentially, get there and you're getting the last crop of it. And so for us, the motivation of starting our business had a lot to do with being able to source our food sustainably, partner with farmers, partner with different businesses and distributors locally and beyond, so that we can be able to contribute to that. And we saw the village as the first step in completing that mission.
So Mayor Bowser, since we're talking about accommodation, especially with the community, for a lot of SYEP students who are in the hospitality, working at hotels and restaurants, right? Customer service is a big factor of their job, and oftentimes there will be, problems with those who are investing or customers of the business. So how would you deal with these type of customers and troubles?
Well, I don't care what type of work you do. You will encounter difficult people in your life. And one great thing about SYEP is that it is giving you that exposure early. And it's teaching you some resilience, is giving you tools where you're learning to be in a work environment and excel despite what you find in customers. Because, you know, I'm sure you can imagine, even in the job that I do, I have some people happy with the decisions that I make and some people who aren't happy with the decisions that I make. But regardless, I have a job to do. I learn, and I have learned over the years of doing this, that I've learned better ways to communicate, for example, or better ways to bring people in to make decisions. I've also had to learn to say, hey, you know, I got that wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
Right.
And
Accountability.
I'm gonna
Yes.
be able to do it differently the next time. That took me a while to figure all of that out. I can't say that I've known that in my whole professional life, so that's important. But you mentioned hospitality, and just this weekend, I was with Chef Gordon Ramsay. You all may know him from TV as a celebrity chef. And he has this reputation of being really tough, right? You've seen his, some of you have seen his show, and it's hard in the kitchen, and he's yelling at people, and he's doing all of that. But I saw that he hired, he's opened a new restaurant down at the Wharf, and he's hired all of these people from D.C., all right? And I looked at the people, and they looked like D.C. And more than that, when they were around him, I could see the energy that they loved working for him, and they loved being a part of something big and something successful. And I'm quite sure that working for Gordon Ramsay and getting ready to open a Hell's Kitchen in D.C., they've taken a few lumps here or there, but they're showing up and they're learning from somebody successful. And I have no doubt that some of the people that I saw in that audience from every background will be successful in hospitality in D.C.
Right.
Mr. King, as a business owner, what are the consequences of bad service?
Yeah, so, we always look at hospitality as, more than just the food service aspect or just, here's your drink, have a good day. It's about what's the impact that you can make. And so, one of the biggest things we said coming up is you could really make somebody's day with a cup of coffee. And so, if you're, not pulling the espresso right, or you're not giving that smile or that friendly kind of extra touch, you can really impact someone's day negatively, and that can have a lasting effect to where they might not want to partake in your business anymore, or they might not feel welcome in your place. And so you definitely want to have hospitality at your forefront of your business.
Right. Well, now speaking of hospitality, I just want to know a little nugget or any key skills that you all have learned from the SYEP program when you were in, because Mayor Bowser, you were also a part of the SYEP program.
I actually wasn't.
You
I
wasn't?
wasn't. If you can believe that, I don't know how. Other than I was thinking about this as I came over. My first job was as a tour guide on the Tourmobile, and I was introduced to Tourmobile by my brother, who had worked at Tourmobile, and that was my summer job while I was in high school.
Oh wow, the Tourmobile. Who would have known?
Do you remember the Tourmobile?
My mom remembers.
Your mom?
Yeah, my mom. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But
I know.
No. So how did your SYP experience and your Tourmobile experience kind of lead you all to the places that you are today?
Yeah, I really think it's about, for me, the biggest thing was about connections. And, of course you get the workforce experience, but you have a whole, range of different industries within that, SYP program and SYP hosts. We're a SYP host. We have 2 SYP alumni with us that have been with us over a year. And so you have, so many different industries, and so you want to really connect where you can. And I feel like being able to still have those mentors today, being able to reach out to them if I need advice, has been the most important to me. Recommendations, all that, is very important.
Well, I think what I hear from people all over the city, first of all, is that they feel like they are a part of a movement. I got my first job. Marion Barry gave me my first job. If I had $1 for every time I heard that, and it's true, because the mayor believed that we should pour into children, we should give them every advantage and let their brilliance come out and shine. And I think that's why we have the best summer youth program anywhere in the country. And the First Lady was correct in saying, literally, I was just at a conference of mayors that was held here in Washington recently.
Right.
And there are literally cities that are starting to say, oh, we should have a summer program for kids. And, big cities and places that you think are really advanced in their thinking. And they're just getting around to what we have been doing in D.C. for over 40 years. I think it's also always very important to say we can't take it for granted. We have to grow it like we have been able to do in the last 8 years. When I became mayor, the limit for the program was age 21. We were able to expand it to age 24. So we know when young people now can come home from college, they can still participate in the program, or young people who never left DC after high school can still participate in the program, because we know that, you're still growing up all the way up to 24, and we want to put you in the best position possible. We also added our Mayor's Opportunity Scholarship in the last 8 years, which works with our summer youth employees and says, okay, we want to be a part of your future, and this a small scholarship on top of what you're doing academically can be the thing that helps you finish school. So that's something else that we've been able to add. And so the fraternity or sorority, that is the MB SYEP alum, is a real thing, right?
Yeah.
And so people who have participated feel very strongly about the program and should always make sure that the city invests in it, so that it's going to be around for another 43 years and another 43 years after that.
So I believe we have some other council members and government leaders in the audience today, and I know you see those as your colleagues and your peers and your coworkers, basically.
Yeah.
And especially being a part of SYEP and being young, some people still have to learn that, you may have the same goals, but there are different methods of achieving it. How do you, for you, Mr. King, how do you deal with, or I guess settle with other peers that you may disagree with in the workplace?
Well, you have to be smart and I think mature, especially in your SYEP experiences. You're right. The one thing about the workplace, especially in our city, and I wish this wasn't the case, but it is where you're going to encounter the most diversity. Okay? You're going to have people from all backgrounds that look different, that speak different languages, that have different political views, you name it. You're going to encounter it at the workplace. And I think it takes some level of maturity to know how to engage in those types of conversations in a productive way.
Right.
And I would, if our participants are getting in a situation where somebody may make a political point that you don't agree with, what do you do?
Right.
Somebody may say something offensive to you directly. What do you do? And so I think that there's going to be some trial and error, but you're going to have supervisors both at your job site, but also in the program that can give you some advice. And as for me, my approach is to try to communicate my position, listen to another position that may be the same as mine or may be differing from mine. Now, I do politics, that's my job, and so my job is to convince you that I have the right answer. That's my job. But it's also to listen and to have an open mind in the cases where there's always more than one way to do things. And I think the final thing I would say about that is sometimes you have to pick your battles, and every battle is not equal. And so I think that is the real mark of a person who is strategic and smart, and who will at the end of the day win. All right, so you don't have to win every conversation, but you ultimately you want to make sure that the things that you believe in or the path you have set out for yourself, that you're successful in doing that. So the bottom line of it's a long answer, but the bottom line is pick your battles and be smart and mature in how you present yourself always.
Most definitely, I completely agree with that. And as a workplace, you want to try to create a workplace culture that feeds into that, honest conversation culture. So that's something we've done here, being able to have people be able to call an honest conversation. Like, you're inevitably going to have butt heads sometimes. I do with my business partners all the time. Like, I think we make our best progress when we get to arguing and debating about what's the best thing to do and what's the best way to move forward. But I think if everyone has the tools available, has the culture around them that is created where you can be open, you can learn, listen is important, empathizing, and then being able to also take a step back, right? Mayor Bowser mentioned picking your battles, right? I know that there's a saying that kind of goes along the lines of like the best solution is when the argument has no winners, almost, right? It's like, and so it's kind of like give and take in places where you may want something done in this exact way. You may butt heads with someone else. And then what's a way to kind of meet common ground and compromise? And I think you have to kind of go through that process to be able to learn and grow that skill.
But you also put your finger on something that is a point of these internships, of this program, and that is that you're developing these life skills.
Right.
You just won't be successful in a workplace because you know how to do your task from A to Z perfectly. But there is an emotional intelligence that you also develop that you need at work and that you need in life. Right. And so I feel great that you guys asked that question because that is a life skill that's going to carry you no matter what you do.
Right. And I'm glad you all said that, because as a current SYIP and SYEP student, there's definitely different life skills that me and I can think I'm speaking for Jessica as well, that we've both taken away from not only being in Deanwood, but just interacting with other recs in other places of the program as well. And just to piggyback off of what you all said, there are different times where we bump heads where we at, and there are different times where we might have different disagreements, but it's all for the betterment of the group. And I feel like if we all just remember that we all have the same goal, we all have the similar outlook on everything, so let's just all meet where we're supposed to.
I'm really happy that I joined SYEP at 14, because at 13 I was like a debate student. So just give me 30 seconds of notes and I'm ready to roar. But that's a big skill that I learned, and especially in journalism, you have to listen. And your questions are based upon what you hear, what you research, but it's not always who the person is. And I also think that we have to consider that our peers are also humans. They're not work robots. And just as you will want to be respected in that way.
Absolutely.
That's such an important point.
Yes.
So we are slowly coming to time, so we have just a couple of more questions. So I have a question about, is it possible to create a program, a part of #DC Comeback, to allow youth to have true government experience that will result in automatic employment in that sector upon high school graduation?
Well, that's a very specific question, and I like it. And I think we are looking for ways to continue to be involved in our young people's lives post-high school. So that's going to be a theme that you hear from us. How can we help you move on to your next job? If you're going to college, make sure that you're finishing college and you have what you need, that you're being supported in choosing a field that's going to allow you to get a good paying job, and expanding those type of work opportunities in DC government. We have one very successful program that we like to think about other areas in the government. It's the MPD cadet program. And that program, Chief Conti was a 17-year-old high school student when he joined that program. And it allows us to hire students in high school, pay you to go to college while you are an MPD employee, and then you join the force after that. And we feel so strongly about that program because it's allowing us to hire more DC residents and more women. And we know that is and will make our force stronger. So I could see other examples of that in high demand fields. We're really trying to hire more people in the health and allied health services, for example. We can't fill nursing positions, social work positions, counseling positions. We need DC residents to do those jobs as well. So I would look out for the areas where we really don't have enough workers, and if there are opportunities to come up with an MPD-like program in those areas in DC government, then we will look to work in those areas.
Thank you.
So just one last question, in comparison to other states. Who have shut theirs down during the pandemic, their programs, and we persisted, don't you see that as an evidential factor of why we deserve statehood?
Oh yes, among many things. And thank you for that question. And our director of employment services during the pandemic, and you don't hear much talk about this, because this pandemic hit some people really hard. People in hospitality, people whose businesses were shut down, events that couldn't happen, they couldn't work for an extended period of time, and nobody knew when that was going to end. So our unemployment program delivered over $2 billion of relief payments to people from unemployment. So that's very, very important, and we're grateful that DOES did that. And in other places, our director would be known as the Secretary of Labor, and we have an outstanding Secretary of Labor in Unique Morris Hughes. So, yes, we perform better than many states, even though we don't have the representation that we deserve as Americans.
I know that's right, DC. Well, I know you've launched your administration is responsible for the launch of the Opportunity Scholarship in 2017. And especially with today's youth, we have a lot of people are discouraged from taking opportunities like this because of the criteria we have to meet. Some people have imposter syndrome. So what do you say to encourage those young people to take advantage of opportunities like this?
Well, this is what I know, and I'm challenged every day to make sure that people know about the incredible programs and services that we have in DC. I mean, they are really incredible, the gold standard of programs. And so we're always trying to reach out to a family. Part of what you're being very helpful with us today is we're trying to figure out a different way to communicate this information. We're counting on you and your networks to say, hey, I'm at SYEP. This is what I'm learning, and this is how it's going to help me in the rest of my life. So always talking about our programs is important, including the scholarship. We saw a need, and part of that need is a lot of times our kids who are going off to college aren't finishing, not because of academics, but because of finances. And it is more than just the tuition. It's how they, have to take care of themselves, maybe help out at home, maybe get back home, maybe you just don't know. So that scholarship is really saying to folks, not only do we want to be there for you for the academic support, we want to help you almost with that last mile of finances so that you have one less thing to worry about.
And my last question is, what was the best work-related advice that you all have received?
That's a good question. So much. I would say the best work-related advice is honestly take a break. Take a break. I'm somebody. I've been working in food service since I was about 15, and obviously launched the Village in 2018, and one of the biggest things that I've tried to preach to my staff and to the partners is like take your time when you need it. The workforce culture has been changing to where people are seen to be most optimal when they're able to get that rest that they need, and you're going to be able to do more in that time. And so I think honestly, like, taking a break, taking your rest when you need it, taking your time for your mental health, your physical health, all of that is going to play a part in you being your best you beyond the workplace and in the workplace.
Well, it looks like we're out of time here, folks. So, Mayor Bowser, do you have any last brief remarks for the audience?
Well, once again, thank you. Spread the word among your friends and your networks. And the closing piece of advice that I'll share that I was given in the workplace many years ago when I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was working in corporate America, and one of a kind of a high-level person pulled me to the side, and he said, you'll see a lot of people out here, going through the motions, peacocking, trying to show themselves to people to get ahead, to get promoted. And he says, the best way to get promoted around here is to do your job. And so I think that especially the message that I had to young folks who are trying to find your way, get in, make a difference, do your job, people will notice, and you'll move ahead. So thank you for what you're doing.
Well, everyone, as you can see, regardless of how you see it, there's a lot to celebrate here. And I would like to thank Mayor Muriel Bowser and Mr. Kevon King for joining us today. Again, I would like to thank Paxton Baker, Lou Hall, and Delano Hunter, and Sally Williams for this opportunity and advising. Again, I am Jessica Smith. This is Eric Curry from Demo Radio Broadcast, and we'll see you again, DC.
All right,
Thank you so
Deanwood
much.
Radio Broadcast.
Amazing. I feel like I even learned a few things I'm going to take back with me to Minnesota Avenue. Thank you so much. Such an amazing conversation. So much to be said. For everyone who is watching at home, this is why MBSYEP is important. This is why people like Cora Masters-Berry, myself, and many other adults will go in and get in the paint for these programs, because we know it has the ability to change young people's lives. I also like to acknowledge who just came in, Councilmember Kenyon McDuffie, who is an MBYLI program alumni. So thank you, at-large Councilmember Kenyon McDuffie. And then, Mayor, I forgot to mention this person, but she is on her second term, elected by her peers. She is the youth mayor of the District of Columbia, Miss Lourdes Robinson. So Miss Lourdes, her second term. All right, folks, so this is the important time, because at 12 noon, 10 minutes, the MBSYEP application is going to open. Summerjobs.dc.gov is where you can go online and apply. Don't call Councilmember McDuffie. Don't call Deputy Mayor Kine. Don't call the mayor and run her down and say, I missed my application deadline, because we know you have to apply early. So just a few housekeeping notes. I'm going to go over the dates one more time. Application opens today, 10 minutes, summerjobs.dc.gov at 12 noon. It will close Tuesday, February 28th. The certification period ends on March 11th. March 11th, the certification date ends. And Mayor, we're back for March Madness at the Convention Center.
Yes.
We used to do March Madness pre-pandemic, but we're 100% back and in person. And so that's where we will be Saturday, March 11th. You can come all the way through Saturday night with yourself and your parent if you need to and get certified. We don't turn people away, but you've got to submit this application today. The program will run through June 26th through August 4th. June 26th through August 4th. We want as many young people to apply, but most importantly, we want as many young people as possible to work. All right, folks, so we know what we have to do. I like to say, my favorite thing to say, like the Isley brothers said, is that we've got work to do. So let's get this work done. Let's make sure we spread the word. And again, thank you everyone for a phenomenal launch to the Marion Barry Summer Youth Employment Program. Let's go, folks. Sure, a couple questions from the audience. Okay. Okay, so we're going to take a couple of questions from the audience and then a couple of questions from reporters.
Okay. Didn't they do a great job? Let's hear it for Deanwood broadcast, radio broadcast. And council members, thank you for being here and your support of MBSYEP. And I'll take a few press questions and then if there are any audience questions. Yes.
So, as you may already know, last year there was a campaign out of Anacostia High School. Students were campaigning pretty much to get the minimum salary raise for DC youth employment workers. Has there been any consideration in going that route during budget season, bringing the salary up to par with the regular minimum wage that adults get?
Oh, we've already done that. And let me ask Director Morris Hughes to tell you exactly about exactly where we are with the wages.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. The mayor is correct. Indeed, we have raised the wages. Currently, if you are 20 to 24, you are earning minimum wage, which tops out at $16.10. The other rates, and I have them here. Okay, 14 to 16-year-olds received a $1 an hour raise to $6.25, and 16 to 21-year-old participants went from $8.25 to $9 an hour. And again, 22 to 24-year-olds do make minimum wage.
Yep.
So with that being said, why is that important given the current situation that we're in now with young people pretty much being involved in violence or being victims of violence?
Some young people are involved in violence and are victims of violence. So anytime I talk about how we're pouring into young people, we of course want to focus on our kids who are the most vulnerable, but we also never want to forget that we have thousands of young people in our city that are doing exactly the right thing. And part of exactly the right thing, and the young people you just heard here, and the other 10,000 that are going to participate in the Marion Barry Summer Youth Program. But having said that, we know, everybody knows that keeping a person occupied is one way to keep them out of trouble. And letting them earn money is another way to keep them out of trouble. And being surrounded by positive adults who are doing the right thing and their peers is a third way to keep them out of trouble. And so that's why we work very hard to design a program that's engaging, that can meet kids where they are, but also to help them grow and to help them earn money.
One more time of programs like this one, the cadet program, when it comes to fighting violence, giving children something to do, teenagers something to do, how important this program and others like it are?
Well, I just talked about it, that our commitment, and I dare say it was Mayor Barry's vision, that this is a program that attracts the best of the best. And when I say that, I'm talking about all of our kids. And that we're going to meet the kids exactly where we are. This is universal. You don't get turned away because you haven't been perfect at school. But we want to get you in. We want to help assess what you're interested in doing and make a great match. I already spoke about making sure kids are occupied during the summer when they're not in school, helping them earn some money while they're not in school, because kids want to do things. I heard one of my directors tell me one of the big things kids like to spend their money on is Uber Eats. So okay, all right. Right? Is that true, kids? You want to make sure you have some Uber Eats? Okay. So, what's that? It saves their parents. So they want, they're getting into 14 people, young people are getting independent. They want to start to make decisions about their own time and how they spend it with their friends. And that's just how it is growing up. And we want to be there to support them in the best ways possible. Now, we'll also have thousands of opportunities for parks and recreation. And I see Cora wants to make sure that I mention that in the premier tennis program at the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center. But there will be kids who don't fall into this 14-year-old age category that are going to be in parks and recreation programs. And a lot of our parks and recreation programs, I'll speak for DPR, they're hiring. And some of our young people will participate in camp counseling programs throughout the city. So we're very proud of that.
So 2 more quick questions
sure.
for you. Unfortunately, MPD just told us about a child, a 4-year-old, who was shot this weekend and Saturday. And they revealed that the gun that was used was accidentally left in the house. We talk a lot about the availability of guns in the street. When you hear about a gun being left unattended in a house, how does that make you feel?
I'm angry about it. We actually had 2 kids. It appears that were struck by bullets by accidental discharge. And as a parent, and all parents should think about where are your kids? Whose house are they at? Do they have guns? Are they responsible? Should they be there? All of these questions, unfortunately, is part of decision making that we have to do when we're in a country that's awash in guns. And as people are making decisions, one thing I'm troubled by is the increase in legally held guns, that people are going out and buying guns, because when we know, even when we have a legal gun that's registered, you've done all the things that you have to get it, the more guns, more accidents, more suicides, more homicides.
One last question here for you. Over the last few weeks, there's been a lot of talk about delays with school buses for students with special needs. Have you been monitoring that situation at the superintendent's office?
We're very sorry that we're in the labor position that we're in, and we're working very hard to correct it. And we're going to double down with our parents, so stay in touch with us. We have increased our opportunities where we will support parents who decide to drive their kids to school, so we've increased those opportunities. We are hiring, so please spread the word. We need bus drivers and we need bus attendants, and we want DC residents to be applying for those jobs. And we feel like a lot of the conversations that we're having with our union and the workers, that we are trying to improve the attendance of our current workforce, while at the same time growing our workforce. So I have to apologize to our parents for the inconvenience, but please reach out to us if you're in a position or you want to be doing the drive until it evens out, and it will even out. Any other questions? First Lady?
You're correct that the quality of the programs is very important to Mayor Berry and you. And the only thing I was wondering is, what can we do, if anything, to help some of the work sites understand that the purpose of the young people to be there is not just to work, but to learn to work?
Absolutely.
Because that's, I mean, obviously that's what we do over there. I mean,
Right.
when they leave, I mean, we have a whole protocol because we know that their job is to earn money. Our job is to make sure that they are maturing in the workplace.
Absolutely. I think that's a great question, and we have highlighted, and we continue to highlight in our recruitment employers that we know are getting it exactly right. And the more we talk about it, the more we interest other employers who want to get it exactly right. And Dr. Morris Hughes knows how strongly I feel about making sure our kids are in a positive environment where they're growing. And I know that she has a system to make sure that happens. But let me turn to Dr. Morris Hughes to talk a little bit about employer accountability and recruiting new employers.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. So we actually have an employer orientation and full-scale program for our host sites. So even if we have brand new host sites that are interested in hosting, we've made this so turnkey. There's very little that you have to do other than show up and be 100% committed. You can visit summerjobs.dc.gov, click on employers to learn all of the different opportunities that are available for employers and to get a preview of our employer handbook and what we expect from employers. I'd like to also add that we have community-based organizations that have stepped up and that are not only serving as employers, but we have some young people that come to us at different stages developmentally. Like the mayor said, we don't turn anyone down if you have an IEP, special needs, whatever the case may be. So we have grant opportunities to people who have proven best practices and working with young people, regardless of their developmental stage, to give them an exploratory career opportunity. And if you think or if you know a CBO that fits into that category, you can visit does.dc.gov, click on About DOES, and scroll down so about halfway down the page where you'll see grant opportunities and information for that as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.